After playing Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, and being a fan of this series, it felt as if Ubisoft had turned back the sands of time, bringing back the original side-scroller gameplay of old while sprinkling in this series' famous time manipulation mechanic, giving us a fresh and stylistic take on the popular series. Here's my first impressions of Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, releasing January 18th in 2024. I want to give a quick and special shout out to Ubisoft for inviting me to their remote demo of the game and allowing me to play 3.5 hours of gameplay so I can share my thoughts with you. Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown is a side-scroller Metroidvania action-adventure platformer game where you play as Sargon, a dual-wielding and very cool warrior from the legendary group, the Immortals. The game is set in the mythological Persian world, filled with colorful characters and backdrops where you explore Mount Kaf and unravel its hidden mysteries while exploring the boundaries of time and space, which you will be able to manipulate. Okay, so the first thing that jumped off the screen during my gameplay was the high quality graphics and the art design. This game is gorgeous to look at. Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown has a style of its own and it pops. From the original character designs to the gorgeous backdrops of mythological Persia. And even though it's a 2D side-scroller, the game being developed in 3D gave the different biomes and backdrops a certain depth that I was not expecting. Movement was super smooth, controls were really great on my PS5 controller. You actually felt Sargon's acrobatics and agility in the controls during combat and platforming. The animation of the jumps and the side-scrolling movements with Sargon were fluid and vibrant, especially under 60 FPS, which will be available for all platforms, which is very clutch. The 60 FPS is showcased even more in combat. I got the basics of combat at the beginning of my demo tutorial with square as the attack, and tapping repeatedly allowed me to execute a general set of combos during my combat. Now, this may seem basic, but I was surprised at the variety of moves I had that paired with this single button, allowing you to get really creative and imaginative with your combat style, giving you a variety of ways to attack your foes and eventual bosses. Ranged attacks for air and ground enemies were utilized by charged sword swipes and the bow and arrow, both of which were upgradable or increased in power at the smith, and with amulets, which we'll touch on later. Amulets also enhanced your special moves, obtained through an aura or energy called Athra. Once built up in combat, I had access to the Athra Surge, a first level move that had a stylish anime-like quick cutscene before eventually executing the move. Now, it's not all offensive. You have a couple of defensive moves like dodge and, of course, parries, which I think is the bread and butter of your defensive playstyle, showcased by yellow indicators or yellow eyes from your foes, giving you a special opportunity to parry and trigger a vengeful counter. While red indicators or red eyes can't be parried or interrupted, but if you are able to perfectly time a parry, you're rewarded with another cool and stylistic anime-like cutscene. The combat variety and special moves really come together during the boss battles. Even though I died a couple of times, I honestly had the most fun with those bosses. Each boss had about 2 stages of combat with a wide variety of attacks that changed between the first stage of attacks and the second. A feature not new to gaming, but has a added difficulty with side-scroller gameplay, but again, it was fun and I was able to get creative with my moves during the combat. I will say my one issue was the location of the whack trees or your saving points in the map. It was difficult to stay at full health at the beginning of the boss fights after I died due to the foes and puzzles you needed to get through before the battle and, of course, the location of the saving points. The maps, though, were long and vast for a side-scroller game, but were very enjoyable. The exploration took me on a winding path from the low and haunted dungeons to the top of Mount Calf, all featuring platforming traps, giant pendulums that swung across your path, spikes that were all along the corridor floors or walls, and platforms that will break beneath you if you're idle for too long. Yo, all the elements were there for a Metroidvania game which fans will recognize and appreciate, in my opinion. The further you went, the more difficult a path or puzzle would get, creating complex platforming challenges that demanded I try and hit targets with my bow and arrow while falling mid-air. Now, it wasn't all puzzles and exploration. I ran into memorable NPCs during my exploration, which again had amazing character and art designs. These NPCs gave me side quests that would have unlocked new or previous areas needed to complete, alongside helpful information and useful items, with valuable rewards to help on my journey. Speaking of rewards, amulets specifically were very useful rewards from NPCs. I first got one from a mage.
I'll make good use of this.
Amulets equipped and refilled at whack trees offer a variety of boosts to Sargon. Those boosts really added to the before mentioned creativity I had in combat, essentially creating my own style. I had 2 out of the 3 amulets you can hold, with one offering a slight increase in max health and the other slightly increasing my melee attacks. You can even increase the max amulets you can hold by purchasing or finding holders. I was able to purchase item upgrades with the time crystals dropped from the enemies, and even purchased weapon upgrades from a giant fiery blacksmith, Kahiva, I believe is how it's pronounced.
Kahiva, goddess and blacksmith to the gods. I forged their greatest weapons.
And I didn't even get into this time manipulating story. I feel like, honestly, I was just scratching the surface during my 3-hour demo of Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I was not expecting the new Prince of Persia, honestly, to be a side-scroller or Metroidvania-like, but between the art design, the combat, the puzzles, the characters, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown feels like a stylistic and fun start to the series. And I'm excited to see where this series takes the Prince of Persia IP. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown releases on January 18th, 2024 on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox consoles, as well as PC. And again, thank you to Ubisoft for inviting me to your remote preview of the game, and I cannot wait to try out more of this game. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out the video to your right and subscribe for more Prince of Persia and other video game videos. I hope you all have a magical day. I'll see you in the next video. Until next time.